So, Anime Expo was just last week, and it was while there that I was fortunate enough to catch ReZero and Overlord early. ReZero premiered their massive 90-minute first episode for Season 3, and Overlord gave us a sneak peek at the first 8 minutes of their movie, both of which were followed by new information and trailers, which I'm gonna share now amongst a bunch of other reveals that you might be interested in. So, to start things off with ReZero, Season 3 does something that I've never seen any anime do before. They condensed an entire volume of the novel down into one single episode. Granted, that episode was 90 minutes long, but rather than spread it out across the first 3 to 4 episodes, Studio White Fox saved us from what would have been a long, drawn-out beginning and instead pushes through it all at once. The reason I say long and drawn out is because aside from the last 20 minutes and the occasional heated interactions, Episode 1 isn't very eventful. It's about 1 hour of dialogue introducing the new setting, characters, and state of affairs, 10 minutes of new plot-relevant material, then 15 to 20 finally getting into the good stuff. That's not to say every part of the episode wasn't good, but if you're expecting Subaru to die right out of the gate, there's quite a bit of exposition to get through first. It's a much slower beginning than what we've gotten before in the last 2 seasons. I will say that does build tension very well though, since knowing ReZero is the way that it is, you're always waiting for that unexpected turn of events. I mean, you know it's coming, you just don't know when. As for the quality, Studio White Fox has been consistent as ever. Not only was the story as faithful as it usually is, but the animation was very much on par or even better than the previous seasons. Setting aside the buff to Emilia, in an episode where there was very little action, the quality was still there in the way they presented the scenery and setting. It's a bit hard to explain without being able to show on screen, but I'm sure you'll understand as soon as you watch it for yourself. So, with all that said, it's important to know that all this is the work of the newly appointed director, Shinohara Masahiro. As someone who'd only directed specific episodes before, this will be his first time directing an entire season. A promising start considering the bold move to make episode 1 90 minutes. This is something I'm actually very glad he did, since to me it shows he understands that all this exposition is important while at the same time expresses his desire to get into the action. It was kind of like him saying, hey, I know what it is you want to see, but you just gotta get through all this first so you can understand everything. It would have been far easier to just cut things out and do another 40-minute episode 1, but instead what we got was more than double that. If anything, I personally think it's a solid testament of what's to come. Switching over to Overlord now, while this was only 8 minutes in total, it was an amazing 8 minutes jam-packed with action. I won't spoil exactly what happened, but the majority was Demiurge, I guess, introducing himself to the Holy Kingdom. There were new characters and a little bit of CGI, but the blend of CG and 2D animation was a whole lot better here. I can confirm for anyone with doubts that movie budget Overlord looks astonishing. What went to surprise me more than anything though wasn't the exceptional quality or Demiurge reprising his role as Yaldabaoth, it was instead the announcement that Overlord will be showing in IMAX. I couldn't even tell you how that works with anime, but for me an IMAX film is one of the most immersive film experiences out there. It's a significant enhancement to both the audio and visual experience that I'm sure will make the movie seem more phenomenal than it is already, especially with its recently confirmed runtime of over 2 hours. That's right, in a press conference that happened just over a week ago, the producer of the movie confirmed it to be longer than 2 hours. That's on par with the Fate Heaven's Feel movies and even longer than the Demon Slayer ones. So, for an arc that's covered across 2 volumes in total, I do believe 2+ hours is enough to adapt it faithfully. Obviously it won't cover everything, but that's where I'll hopefully be able to fill in the gaps for you. As for the official release date, in Japan it's confirmed to be September 13th. Everywhere else is still up in the air, but if I had to guess, I think a safe estimate would be 2 to 3 months after. I mean, the Blue Lock movie reached overseas after 2 months and the Haikyuu movie came after 3. There's clearly been an increase in the speed at which anime movies are brought overseas, so while a few years back I would have expected the movie to take 6 months to reach us, I wouldn't be surprised if it came before Christmas now. In any case, for the time being we have this brand new trailer to work with, the most hectic by far as it shows quite a bit of what to expect from the movie. Aside from Best Girl Nea and a whole bunch of other characters, the standout for me was the focus on Shizu. She's the only Pleiades who hasn't gotten some solo screen time, so I'm happy to see that that's potentially what we'll be getting. That and some epic looking fights from pretty much everyone. Now, it's been a while since I've updated you on the Overlord figure, so I figure now's a pretty good time to do so. For those of you that don't know already, together with all your input, I've been making an officially licensed Overlord figure. The last couple months were spent choosing who and what the figure will portray, and after 3 rounds of voting, it was decided that we would recreate this scene. Ein's casting the goal of all life is death. The figure itself will consist of 3 main components, all of which tie heavily into this iconic moment. So there's Ein's in his unusual robe garment, the clock as seen here attached to his back, then a base formed by 1 or 2 magic circles from when he was casting his super tier magic. I do have several 2D sketches I wish I could show you, but unfortunately due to licensor restrictions I can't. If I did and they found out, then all progress on any of the designs would have to be restarted. So what I've decided to do instead is vividly describe each option in this Google form here. That way you can sort of envision what it is we're dealing with and still leave feedback on how it takes shape. I know it might be tough to do so just through words alone, but that's just the circumstances of dealing with anime in an official capacity. I promise we're heading in a fantastic direction, and if you really want to know more, then you can always come join our Discord. There you can find updates to our Overlord figure before anyone. I really am sorry that I can't show you these sketches, but as soon as I'm able to show you more, you know I'll do so immediately. So that's pretty much where we're at with that, and the next steps after would be refining the 2D drawing, adding color to it, then turning it into a 3D render. Stages I hope to keep you involved in as well. But anyway, ReZero and Overlord weren't the only anime revealed at Anime Expo, as a few sequels and unexpected adaptations were announced as well. Fire Force's 3rd and final season was officially confirmed, starting mid-2025 in April, then finishing up after a split core break in January 2026. It's the long-awaited finale to a series that's been surprisingly good so far. Shangri-La Frontier was confirmed to be returning in October, once again continuing across seasons with a consecutive core broadcast. The 2nd season for Solo Leveling got its first teaser trailer, and aside from the very prominent spoilers all throughout, I think the biggest thing to note is the consistent quality. Certain shadows do seem to be CG, but everything else looks just as promising as it did in the 1st season. Speaking of CG in anime, Arifureta Season 3 had a premiere of its own, but that was a panel I unfortunately didn't make it to. Luckily, we don't have to wait long to see it ourselves since its release date is now confirmed for October. I can't say it's something I'll cover due to ReZero and Danmachi, but I will be watching since I'm already committed to it. In addition to all that, new trailers were dropped for Overlord and Witch Hat Atelier, both amazing fantasies on opposite ends of the spectrum. Overlord is more a dark, fast-paced action centered around revenge, while Witch Hat Atelier is more this adventure involving a girl learning to become a witch. They're both exceptional manga, very much worth the read, but are also coming to our screens in 2025. Not much else was said about Overlord, but for Witch Hat the director is the same as Summertime Rendering. The OSTs are being done by the same talented woman behind Elden Ring, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls 3. Then the studio is the one who brought us Psalm 100. It's a pretty stacked lineup that I'm genuinely very excited for. I suppose the last thing worth mentioning is the newly announced adaptation for Omniscient Reader. Another phenomenal webtoon on par with the likes of Tower of God and Solo Leveling. It's an announcement that shouldn't be very surprising since with the success of Solo Leveling, I imagine we'll be getting a lot more webtoon anime in the future. I mean, we've already been getting quite a few, so it really was just a matter of time before we'd start to get more. That's pretty much all the news I wanted to share with you, so if you learned something new then feel free to leave a like and let me know down in the comments. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content then you already know what to do. So, until next time, ciao!